To the electrician
Okay.
yesterday.
Are you going to join the Zoom meeting?
No, I'm gonna.
I just noticed you weren't there.
I'm gonna try to get this one step at a time, and I'll tune into it. I'm pulling up all the other stuff. I think they could. We're speaking over that anyway.
Fine, I just didn't know if you would join.
I'll pull it up so I can see who's all here in a minute.
Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting will come to order. Let the record show that today is October the 21st, 2020. The time is 9:00 a.m. Ms. Carol, would you mind leading us in the pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. And Madam Clerk to the board, will you conduct a roll call?
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Present.
Attorney Clint Smith is not present. Admin Assistant to the Board, Kara Evans. Present. And Clerk to the Board, Kelly Kemper, present.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen.
And from me.
I have none, sir.
I have a few. I would move to strike the executive session for legal advice from the agenda.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to strike legal advice or an executive session for legal advice. Discussion.
Guess it's because Cliff.
Obviously, because Attorney Smith is out ill today. Pretty hard to have legal advice if the counselor is not present. So further discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor striking executive session for legal advice, say aye. Commissioner Kanda?
Aye.
Commissioner Flower votes aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then I would also
Mute our phones. Well, guilty of that.
I would also ask, we can do it with a motion if we need to, but ask Kelly to add the planning and zoning director report for October 30th to the agenda under new business.
I'm good.
Okay, by consent, Commissioner Kanda.
Yeah, just thinking about it. Probably okay. Just a report.
Good. So Kelly, if you would add that to October 30th, appreciate it under new business.
Could have been up there under items, probably.
So you're not going to do that under?
I wouldn't put it there.
No, not under executive session. It will be under new business for Jackie's request.
Is it new business or just a report? Is it? I don't think we're going to take action on it. I mean, it should.
Well, I don't know.
Careful. It makes sense that. No, a hard
Not
one.
knowing what it's.
Right, it needs to go into new business, that's what she
I
asked.
think it is, but
Then
then
let's do new business.
But it's
I
not-
really don't know what she's asking.
I'm just worried about it being 24-hour notice. Somebody wants to listen to some report from zoning.
It's on the agenda we posted, it'll be on there
Are we putting it on next week?
for the 30th.
Oh, he said the 30th.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
I didn't hear the 30th. All right, good deal.
And then I would move to postpone discussion on the first net tower to October the 30th. Again, sorry,
Go ahead.
is there a second?
I'll second it. What's the reason?
Been moved and seconded to postpone the discussion on the first net tower until October 30th. The reasoning is, again, with Attorney Smith not being here, he was going to give the report.
Oh, he had the details. I didn't know that.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to tell, I had several people contact me. I told them it was on today's agenda, so I'd just like to tell them that this was an unforeseen event with the attorney not present. So if I
Right.
misled you, it was unintentional, but I'll be in favor of it.
He has not shared anything with me about it, so I have no idea what that would consist of. So that's why I thought we better just wait and do it on the 30th.
It's a good idea.
Further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kanda?
Aye.
Mr. Flower votes aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll add that then to carry that forward, Kelly, to October 30th, if you would. That's all I had for amending the agenda. Move on, approval of the minutes, August the 12th.
Well, we set the, it's from August the 12th. It's written. Kelly did a good job.
Second,
Second.
been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for August 12th as presented. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Commissioner Kennedy.
Aye.
Flower, aye. Mr. Prince,
Aye.
opposed. Motion carries. Those minutes have been approved. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it. Commissioner Adams, who would like to begin?
I want to hear from Jay.
Why don't you go first?
Okay, I will. Unless you want to come.
No, I'm fine. Thanks.
Okay, at the airport, work has started with the AWAS. They at least confirmed that. I had to go out there and see for my own eyeball. It's supposed to be happening yesterday, but I didn't see anybody out there in the afternoon, so I'll find out. Sanger de Cristo, I mentioned when they tried to trench in, put the transformer in, hit the septic system that was by that old hangar, and it turns out it was a real septic system. So they got to get a waiver, they got to get a right of way through with Pedro, and I haven't talked to him yet about it. And I need to talk to Bubba and find out what they're doing timing wise, because it could delay it a little bit.
Who's responsible to get the right of way?
Sangre is.
Sangre, not us.
No, not us. So I want to find out what the scale, how that's going to impact it, because he told me that they're booked up, and so they were trying to get it in now. So we'll find out how pushed they are. And when that'll be, it won't matter. The AWAS will go in regardless. It doesn't need the power hookup, but it would be nice to be able to test it while all the engineers are here. Get it coinciding. And then we had the budget hearings that went off, I thought, very well. Good discussions and a lot of cooperation with everybody.
All this sound is coming in on the Zoom call. Is it okay if we close this?
It's okay with me. Maybe you can sit in the
Can I
back.
sit in the corner?
I don't have a problem with that since
There's nobody
Attorney
else there.
Smith is not here.
Sorry, all their voices are carrying over. That's it's cause confusion.
And I'll go with this entire matter. Okay, so I said the budget hearings went really well. I thought lots of things were still not done. It's not final. It's not final until it's final. And we have some other things we're going to talk about in November the 5th. I think we were going to readdress a couple items. The E911 meeting went well. The group that was there very congenial, and it lasted only a few minutes. So progressing with their budget And they've got a new process involved with some new computers that are working. So
Was they have a quorum? at that
Yeah, they
meeting?
had a
And what day was that?
I don't remember, Tuesday, I think it was, or Monday. Or when, no, it's Friday. Anyway, I was there. And I'll have to look and see. I'll tell you when it was, Tom.
I thought, sorry to interrupt, I thought that was a conflict with our budget hearings. I don't know. why.
It was not. It was,
No
I'll have to
big
look.
deal. No.
anyway, I'll see, we met, it's either Friday or Monday. I can't remember. I'll have to look into it. I left my notes at home on it. Anyway, then we had the, let's see, was there another meeting? I missed the, I don't think any of us attended the CDC meetings that occurred this week. Either one of you do that?
The one yesterday was canceled.
So, and then finally, I got a concern was handed to me yesterday, a petition of concern to the commissioners. I wanted to bring it in. It's something we'll have to talk about at some other point. This is about the Rosita Towers, they call them. It says we've recently been made aware of Custer County and to actively market a parcel of land in the town site of Rosita. Of specific concern is a potential for communications tower to be erected on this parcel by virtue of a deed condition restriction to be applied to the purchaser of this parcel. As signers of the petition, we are indicating our opposition to the placement of the tower. We haven't even had the hearings on it yet. To the beautiful and growing area of Rosita is primarily residential and lies in the valley surrounded by hilltops. The practicality and effectiveness of such a location is proposed county parcel is questionable. We propose this study this parcel be done to determine the effectiveness and proposed coverage area undertaken to determine a more exact location of a proposed tower in the county parcel than the county parcel. A special use permit process to include a public hearing should be applied. So I wanted to bring it up so that we assure everybody that that is the case. We are going to be doing that. And this was handed to me last night by Dave Kleppinger of the town. And there's about 80 signers on it.
May I suggest that we turn that over to Jackie Hobby, Planning and Zoning, so that could be read into the record at the time that we have our hearings. And for those people who are listening, there will be public hearings and determination has certainly not been made at this time. In fact, at our last board meeting, we withdrew the sale of that property. So
that's a good point to bring up.
Yeah. So we have made no decisions whatsoever. And, you know, it's
and those hearings, and I brought it up many times, the hearings have to occur on those towers, on every one of them. So that'll occur.
There'll be plenty of public input, and the final decision has certainly not been made at this point.
And that's all I've got.
Let's see. So I got notification this morning that we did receive an electronic transfer from DOLA
Oh,
for
great.
our CVRF funds totaling $119,168.48. So that is certainly a positive and an otherwise dark and dreary. Very glad to get that confirmation. So
What was that amount again?
119, 168.48.
And that was for the Kerneverdi.
No,
No.
that was for the coronavirus relief.
Oh,
All the stuff that we're being reimbursed, right,
From
for
DOLA.
now.
CRF.
Correct, CVRF, yeah. And then I did write and submit the underfunded courts grant application for $45,000 for continuation of our Justice Center project. It was mailed yesterday. So I took the liberty of indicating on that application that the county would be willing to kick in, if needed, a matching amount of $5,000. We haven't decided that,
How we got?
they asked if the county had plans to support that grant. So I just put in 5,000.
Did we do it on the others? I thought we did.
Requesting 40, yes.
They were matching grants too.
So it's not really a matching grant, but I thought it might improve our chances of getting that grant. So,
We need- So when are we gonna put that on the agenda to nail down an amount? It's like the last. They're doing. I can think it's a number.
correct.
I think the more we can contribute, the better it is, and maybe that's enough. So
Yeah, I don't believe there's an expectation that we had to contribute any. I just felt like because of what you just mentioned, the fact that budget for underfunded courts was cut severely, that at least if we offered to contribute some, I thought that might increase our chances of getting that.
Where, when's it due?
October 23rd, 5 o'clock.
The money.
Oh, the money. Probably they announce, I think, on October or December,
So it's due this fiscal year.
no, they wouldn't award those until January, after January. So they'll announce those on December the 3rd.
So it's $5,000 against our new budget that we're working still.
Yeah, I would guess. I mean, I suppose we could commit funds out of this year's budget, but I don't see that happening. I think it'll be next year.
And then, go ahead, Jane, I'll ask you the question. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Just as a point of order, it's very important to ratify this because it's my understanding that if you unilaterally committed the county to funds and it's not ratified, you personally could be responsible. So I think the proper action is to ratify your decision to do that. Not for that particular reason. I think it's the right thing to do, but I want to do that for that reason also.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but again, the reason that I did that was because I felt like it would increase our chances of getting that grant. And certainly, like a 5% match or something. So,
But it comes out of which budget? And we're
well,
arguing
yeah, I believe it's going to
$5,000.
come out of 2021.
And
We also have a budget for the Justice Center.
Right.
And we may want to discuss taking out of there, but
Exactly.
we're talking about $5,000. I don't think we're talking about a major contribution. So
Yeah.
I'm not overly concerned at this point. When it's time, if they say, yeah, we'll accept your 5,000, then we could have the discussion on where's it going to come from.
And they may not even want it, right?
That's true. We're not
That's right.
committed to it.
That's correct. It's just an offer.
It was an offer, basically, yes.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, Commissioner Prince. I believe that the Justice Center account would be the logical place to pull that money from if we need it. They may say, appreciate it. It's not required. We're going to grant you the 45 or the 40, whatever they do. They can change that amount, but
Well, I think if we have to ratify, it would have been nice, we had this meeting, it would be nice to have discussed it. We could have just done it, put it on the agenda. Well, I don't know, when did you know? Did you
if
have
it didn't
enough
go in the
time?
mail yesterday, we wouldn't have been eligible for the grant at all,
So it had to be in the mail yesterday. So,
which we didn't get it mailed. So
That discussion's been going on for several days.
Right.
The sheriff and other members. of the
Committee.
I
committee.
don't mind that, but
So,
Right.
Really, I
it's
appreciate.
a process thing. I'm glad you did too, but it's nice to have it understood up front with us so that we're not having to ratify it. That's,
I wish we'd known.
yeah, I do
We
too.
didn't.
All right, good enough for
At the
me.
last meeting, I volunteered to write the grant, so we haven't met since then.
I appreciate you.
Yep, saw your note.
Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kanda?
Aye.
I'm sorry, to vote on ratifying,
Right.
committing $5,000 in the grant application. Commissioner Flower votes aye. Commissioner Prince opposed. Motion carries.
If they request.
Motion to
it, right.
ratify. Carries to commit $5,000 if necessary. Yeah. Then the other thing I had is I wanted to report that John Carroll is back on a regular work schedule starting today at the VSO. So we had originally asked if there were any issues or anything for him to come back. He came by this morning and said, I don't have anything. I just want you to know I'm going back on my regular office hours starting today. So
That's
I told
good.
him I would report that. And then calendar wise, let's see, October the 7th, BOH meeting. October the 8th, I attended the Conservation District monthly meeting up at Kirkpatrick Bank. October the 9th, I did go visit the Tourism Welcome Center. Also met with the Colorado Attorney General, Phil Weiser, that afternoon of the 9th. Had a nice visit with him. He was doing a 3-county tour, and one of his staffers is from Westcliff, so he thought they should come by here, so that was nice. And then the budget hearings, Central Republican Committee meeting on the 13th. We held that again in the basement of the county building. And then on the 19th, had the CBRF meeting up at the Westcliff Town Hall. So that's what my calendar has looked like. Commissioner Prince?
Thank you.
Yes.
On the 7th, I also attended the Board of Health meeting. I also attended the open house at the Visitor Center and met with Attorney General Weiser. It was a nice meeting. On the 12th was the Coronavirus Relief Fund. Of course, we had budget hearings most of last week. Somewhat disappointing in terms of revenue versus needed expenses, and we'll get a full report once we ratify the budget, but there's just not enough money to do what needs to be done, and it's really a problem, and it's just the way it is. And of course, I went to the Corona Relief Fund meeting on the 19th, and had multiple discussions about the Main Street Wi-Fi and funding for that. And this is just a report. I'm not asking for any action or anything to be taken, but that was private. The Main Street Wi-Fi, and this is my personal opinion, has been a tremendous asset to Custer County in general. It's a no password, open Wi-Fi that runs through Main Street into Silver Cliff. Economic development put that together, installed it with funds that were privately raised. That fund contribution was a multi-year commitment that is running out very soon. There is question as to how will it be funded if we want to continue it, or do we want to discontinue it? So there's discussions about either the two towns in the county paying for it, or possibly two towns, the county and economic development paying for it. So this is a discussion we're going to need to have in the near future. First, do we really want to continue it? And second, if we do, how are we going to fund it? So I just want to report that I've had multiple conversations with multiple people about this, including Charles Bogle, Mayor Wenzel, and others. So we'll talk about that. We'll probably need an agenda item once we work out some of the suggested details. That's basically all I have, other than my day-to-day ongoing commissioner stuff I do.
I wanted to, that Corona Relief Fund I didn't talk about, but it was, I thought, very good. What I was impressed with is the people that have been applying have done a very good job of putting the case together to give us the ability to take the risk to fund it and then get reimbursed. And people have been asking me about it even as late as last night. And I think it's important for them to know to keep applying. We've got half the funds spent so far. And we need people to keep that in mind, because some of the businesses are struggling up here. And I don't know that they are fully aware. I know Buck's working very hard with businesses in Silver Cliff, and so some of the West Cliff as well. So anyway, I think it's working out pretty well, and it's been fruitful.
And we got a check.
Yeah, now we got paid, so we know it's working.
Strategic plan report, anything?
Nothing new.
And then the CVRF fund. So I would just report that to date, we have, that committee has approved $209,627 for reimbursement. And we have 209,627. So that leaves us an uncommitted balance of 205,142, $205,000, $205,142. So we still have that amount earmarked for Custer County that we can distribute through that committee if and when we get the applications for that. So, and that program will continue until December 10th, which is a deadline that committee set based on the recommendation of the county via Donna Hobby, so that we still have time to get those checks written and get them processed. The actual reimbursement project runs through July 1, 2021, but all of that all the application decisions have to be made by December 31st, 2020. We back that up to December 10th. So the clock is ticking on that. So hopefully we can distribute some more of that money back into our county on purpose there. So we will forego an attorney item. Would ask Miss Kara Durham, her admin assistant, if she could speak to the credit card research that she's done. And if you have a recommendation, I don't think we're prepared to act on it today, but at least we can have a little idea of where we're headed.
Right. Yeah, so I gave y'all the packets that I have of the information. I talked to both banks here in town, so Kirkpatrick and United Business Bank. And so I think both of them are good. There is one that's I put the P card in there, the purchase card. I'm not sure that that's the way y'all will want to go. It's kind of limiting on what we can use it for, but I had it in there just so you have the information. I did like Kirkpatrick because you can we can add more employee cards for more money, as well as change the limit for different departments. Because when I've been talking to the departments around the county, some of them need a lot more money than other departments, so it would be a little bit easier to kind of keep it where each department needs. But you have the information. If y'all have questions about it that is not in there, just let me know and I'll call things. Yes.
I appreciate the work you did on this. I noticed that you said that Patrick has no annual fee. Does United Business Bank have a fee, or they?
There no annual fee as well
Okay.
on on the MasterCard one.
Right.
Yes, no annual fee as well.
Okay, I just didn't see that in their paperwork. Well, thank you for that.
So what was the major benefit that you see?
The major one that I saw was, again, being able to have multiple employee cards. So we can keep adding, because when I've talked to the departments, some of them say, we might need 5, oh, we might need 1, or we might need 3, so they're not really sure exactly how many they need yet. But we can add it at no added cost to the county for that. And then we can also change the limits for, like, human services can have a 5,000 limit. And Kelly doesn't need one, but if Kelly's department needs one, $1,000, however we need to do that. So.
And what was the P card was with United Bank?
Is with United, yes, sir.
And the drawback is, I see it's got a minimum, or you spend at least 50,000 per quarter. It's a lot.
Which is a lot. And there's also, when I talked to the bank, they were also saying how you can only use it for certain things, like it has to be for fuel or for meetings and I know, I think some of the departments here use it for anything, like if they need to purchase something on Amazon or if they need Office Depot, so it might not be just for going to meetings and being out of the office.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Recommendation is correct, right?
That would be mine. Yes, sir. But
Okay. I'm just gonna ask, we can add this to October 30th to make a decision about the credit card.
I think it's already on there, but
Okay.
I'll check.
We thought it was on an agenda, but we couldn't remember which one. and
Yeah,
so-
I think it's on that one.
Good, thank you, appreciate it. All right, thank you, ma'am, appreciate that. Anything else to report from the land of the 60s?
The 60s.
We will move on. Any public comment? If anyone has anything they want to bring up to the commissioners that is not reflected on the agenda today, now would be the appropriate time.
Are we unmuted?
no one is unmuting right now.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Unfinished business, gentlemen.
I have none, sir.
None here.
Nor do I. New business, again, we'll allow public comment on anything prior to voting if it's an action item. First item of business, consideration of unbudgeted expense request from the IT department. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good.
I took the liberty of
Okay.
putting that into an
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet as we talked about.
Only 90 grand. Huh?
Well, it's not an all or nothing deal. So
I get it.
Okay.
so do we want to just start at the top or what would?
Give me just a second here.
Question before we actually start.
Uh-huh.
Are you anticipating that if the BOCC approves this expenditure and you spend it, that it would then be applied to the Coronavirus Relief Committee for reimbursement
Yes, sir.
potentially?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just wanted to
I
make sure.
wouldn't be asking for any of this if not for the coronavirus relief fund.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was with you.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can go down through here. I've thought about this. This is not a coronavirus relief fund committee meeting by any stretch of the imagination. I just want to caution us of that. He is asking the county if we believe the county should buy these things. Is that correct?
Yes, that's,
With the understanding of what you just said, I get that. I just want us to make darn sure we're on solid ground of what we're doing today. We're not acting on behalf of the Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee.
However, Mr. Chairman, if I may, please, my decision whether to approve or not approve will hinge upon whether we as the Board of County Commissioners submit this to the Coronavirus Relief Fund. Because if we choose that it's not an eligible expense, I'd be less inclined to approve things that are unbudgeted. However, if we feel that it's a necessary expense, we, the commissioners, not the coronavirus group, feel it's a necessary expenditure because of coronavirus, I personally feel that really ought to be part of the discussion. What's the likelihood that the Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee would approve it and we would submit it before we just stick out this huge amount of money, whatever the amount of money is.
Let me tag on to that too, because there's a discussion. Are these necessary at all? If we look at it from 2 points of view, does the county need these? And then we're going to have to, if we do, then we would say, are there some expenses, anything we have to decide to buy? We would always want to be looking to see, is it something that's caused by the coronavirus? And then we would have to have some kind of a meeting to decide whether we're going to submit them to that committee.
I think that's what
That's right here. Right. And so if we're doing both today, then I agree. We could get, it's.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
I don't either.
All I'm saying. So it's like the first item, the coroner's office items, and I don't mean to be taking the thunder away, but and this is just discussion on process is really where I am right now. The first question in my mind would be, A, is a county expense that needs to be made no matter what? And if the answer to that is yes, that's one way I'm going to go. If the answer is no, but we feel that you say to us, you feel that it's a necessary expenditure because of Corona, then I'd be more inclined to say yes. So,
That's true. I mean, we wouldn't be buying N95 masks for Corona.
well, you might. It goes on a.
Maybe if maybe we've got a flu epidemic of some other kind or some other thing. That's
Right.
true.
so,
Or an IR reader or something.
so I am only presenting this because of the Corona situation. And if nothing ever comes from the Corona situation, then we have it as reserve. But I want to state that for the record, I'm only presenting this because of the coronavirus situation.
Point is well taken there, and I think that sets the stage for the discussion to follow. So with that, let's go through these however you deem appropriate and necessary.
We could look at it department or excuse me, subject wise, or we can look at it individual at a time.
Office of Coroner, and we'll work down from there.
Okay. Proposition to buy a count of sterilized body bags, Tyvek suit coveralls, high-risk gloves, some N95 masks, knee protectors, and shoe covers. These are, I want to stress, these are not hazmat equipment. This is stuff that we use in our everyday work in situations that are, let's say, beyond someone passing away, and we immediately show up and work with Holt to remove the deceased. This is stuff that we use if there's any type of communicable disease present, if there is any type of decomposition, that type of thing. Okay.
I think I understand. I don't want. It's early in the morning.
There's discussion out there that I wanted to clarify.
Okay, I appreciate that. So can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
If there wasn't money available through coronavirus, these look like necessary expenditures for your department regardless.
Yeah.
Is that a valid statement?
Yes, sir.
And even if that never occurred, would you be using your budget to buy these things?
I would be using my budget to buy less and spacing it out. And the reason why I'm asking for this now is because we have seen that once something happens, it's impossible to get high-risk gloves. Once something happens, it's impossible to get the N95s. It took months to build up the facilities in America to actually produce these masks to the point where we could actually buy them the way we did. You guys ordered 20,000 or $20,000 worth, rather. I apologize. That was not possible 3 months before you actually ordered them because of the shortage. So what we've seen is that if you wait until after the fact, it's impossible to get them. For instance, the body bags, even right now, there is an absolute stranglehold on bags in the country.
So if I could just follow up, I don't mean to commandeer this conversation, but I'm trying to separate in my mind the necessity for the coroner's office to have these supplies versus the necessary expenditure for coronavirus. Now, I recognize I'm kind of mixing two different organizations, but they are so commingled in my mind that it's almost impossible to keep them separate. But these are items that you feel your office would need regardless?
These are items that I would struggle along and purchase. No, I apologize. Struggle along is hyperbole.
Okay.
These are items that I would purchase over time if there was no need for them, or excuse me, if there was a drawn out need for them. If there's an immediate need of coronavirus, or excuse me, if there's an immediate outbreak or something like that, then these are things that we would need immediately.
Thank you.
Let me try another question on this on the same time. So Vernon, if the coronavirus wasn't around, you are budgeted to have enough bags and stuff for the rest of this year, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And do you have any high risk gloves or any of that kind of stuff?
We've used a lot of our high risk gloves because of the communicable nature of this disease and all diseases. We change the gloves very often. So we've gone through more this year than I would normally ever use.
So these questions apply to all these categories. Actually.
Yes, sir.
So we're betting on the likelihood of a significant increase and to date, even during the worst of times, we've only had one hospitalization.
Yes, sir.
No deaths in this county. And so I wonder if the committee that, not our committee, but the whoever approves it at the next level, DOLA or the other, I wonder if they are looking at the risk per county and whether they reimburse us. I'm just looking at if we buy these, so it's $90,000 worth of stuff. If we liked everything, what's the likelihood?
So on the first subject, on the subject of the coroner's office, it's fortuitous that you brought up DOLA because the conversation that I had with DOLA, they are approving every coroner's office in the county is buying trucks and trailers, refrigerated trucks and trailers. I said, I already have a truck and we have access to multiple trailers. And they said, what about relief? What about relief supplies? What about bags? What about, and this is basically the suggestion from DOLA for us to spend on that. Yes.
There may not be on these other categories, but
there's other reasons to buy these other things. But specifically DOLA mentioned these for us.
So this first category was pretty logical, even though we've had very low risk.
Yes, sir.
Actually done.
At this moment.
At this point.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of where I was on particularly the body bags. To justify to DOLA that we need 50 body bags because of coronavirus when we haven't had a death.
Yes, sir.
Now that's the bottom line for me with DOLA.
Okay.
If they ask that, I would be hard pressed other than to say, we need this PPE and the body bags. I don't know, the body bags end up being PPE in the event of an outbreak in our county. That would be the only argument I could come up with. Again, I appreciate where we're at here. I don't like it, but I appreciate the fact that we almost cannot talk about this without talking about CVRF. But just because that CVRF money is there, I still think we have a responsibility then to consider whether or not the three of us believe it would be a reimbursable item. I don't like it, but I think that's where we're at.
Sure.
I don't know any way around that.
No, we have to.
Wouldn't. So what I don't like about this process, we find ourselves exactly where we were with another applicant who basically wanted some assurances that his request was going to be reimbursed or he wasn't going to do it.
Right.
And that's not how the process works.
But he did not, the difference here is he did not do this conversation with his organization.
True. He wanted it to go straight.
He wanted to go straight to us and put that burden on us. This is our organization,
you're right.
so we need to make that
Right.
decision.
And in that,
Go to the committee.
in that very vein of that comment, I'm a lot more comfortable having this dual-sided conversation. That's
And we have,
exactly right.
we have.
Let's move on.
Before you do that, because one other thought came to me on the same topic. Not only have we, it's the past speaks for itself. The future also is something we consider. And everybody likes to say, well, it could have a terrible outbreak, but we know that nationwide treatments have gotten better. And we know that, and we know that ventilators are available. I mean, a lot of that. And we also know the status of our local hospitals and whether or not they can take people to treat them. So we know that is reduced some too. So it's not just because we were lucky in the past, it's also something to consider. So which makes me worry about the same thing. Is 50 too many? Is 10 enough? It's something we have to wait. Maybe we don't need any.
We just don't know.
And to your point, Commissioner Canada, Governor had a big presentation yesterday.
And I saw it.
The state of Colorado is in as bad a shape right now as it has been since May. We're fortunate here, but I would think based on the governor's report, DOLA would have to say, yeah, these counties need to be prepared because we're right back in the spike of this pandemic.
Except the difference is, you're right, positive cases are up, death rates are kind of flat, but you're right, there's more.
And if I may, sir, I made a comment I wrote on here in my mind. This is before you made a comment. I said, I'm not sure this is a necessary expenditure, because that's the key word. But then you said, and I changed my mind based on that, when you said DOLA indicated to you and to many other counties that be prepared, we'll cover it. So, I mean, if DOLA has indicated that it's most likely a valid expense, I think we'd be foolish not to approve this. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
And when I say approve it, what I mean by we approve the expenditure for you and at the same time approve bringing it for reimbursement to the committee.
Right.
We are not the committee sitting here. We are the BOCC. And the committee may turn around and say, wrong guys, you're on your own on this. And that could happen. And if it does, it does.
Well, let's go on because I don't want to get bogged down and spend a couple hours on this.
Yeah,
I have somebody in
no
the
problem.
hallway waiting on an agenda item.
Right on.
Certainly want to give this its due process. So the next department request.
Public health, emergency management, and I need to add the county building and the sheriff's office to this as well. IR tablets and camera and thermometer. So have you been to the school or to the clinic?
They look like we stand in front. And
Yes,
take your-
exactly.
Yeah.
I am requesting to buy 4 of those for each, basically one for each county building. The sheriff's office,
4 of which?
4 of the IR
Okay.
4 of the IR
Going down.
tablets. Yes.
Oh, the tablets.
It's where you get in there and you put your head in the.
Yep. And it takes a picture, it reads your temperature.
So
Mhm.
the question there would be,
Yes, sir.
would restrict each of these buildings to one entry? And if you didn't pass that, you don't go in?
Well,
I'm trying to find out where we're going with this.
well, I feel like that's part of the discussion we need to have. So essentially, these tablets can read a fever before you can physically feel the fever. So if, for instance, every employee was being scanned each morning, we wouldn't have someone working for 3 days with COVID before they were sent home. We would actually discover it before they actually felt it. So what this is, the sheriff is going to buy at least one of these. I talked to him about it, and he suggested lumping it all together. So basically, what these would be, we could have one at Road and Bridge, we have one at Public Health. Everyone that comes in for a flu shot or for anything else gets scanned at the same time. Basically, this is specifically the camera and the thermometers are to assist us in diagnosing before we see the symptoms,
So
preventing the spread of COVID. Yes, sir.
you're talking about 4 tablets.
Uh-huh.
The tablets themselves have the capability of functioning without a camera.
The tablets are a camera.
Okay.
So the camera would be a modular unit that could go to locations. If, let's say, there was a meeting down at Lang Hall, you could scan people that came in, something like that. It would be a further diagnosing capability.
And it does not need a tablet.
It does not need a tablet. It can go onto a
So it's
regular
more
tablet.
like a portable use
Yes.
around the county
Mhm.
as we deem necessary.
Yes.
The tablets are obviously a computer. You put your
Mhm.
face in front of it, it scans.
Yes.
I have an issue.
And so the 4 that you've identified here were specifically for.
Sheriff's Office, Public Health, Road and Bridge, County Building.
That question you raised about restricting the entrances,
We'd have to do that.
we'd have to figure out, or you, during the course of the day, require the employees to go by it.
Maybe too late then, and I think we need to talk about, are we gonna have the court system go through the same thing? Or should we add one for them? Or should we just let them do their own thing? I mean, I don't know the answers to these questions.
I don't know.
On the surface, I would say they kind of have to do their own thing. We may have to go back to limiting access to the courts, not through here.
Right.
That's where my mind was going with. I brought that question up.
In the true spirit of things, to me, if these IR tablets are purchased, then it has to be every visitor has to go through that, or every person in the county building. So you have to limit access.
Or you buy enough for the main entries, the back door here, the front door here. No other. OEM one.
You didn't mention OEM on your list.
County buildings.
I didn't mention OEM because they aren't a public facing entity.
One person.
For public health only needs one, there's only one entrance there.
Yes, sir.
So maybe we need one more.
For Road and Bridge is for the employees.
Yes, sir.
Don't have many visitors now.
No, they don't have many visitors. And you know, if OEM were to come over here and check his temperature, or the sheriff's office each day, just to find out,
Okay.
just.
What happens if it's not?
We're going to be here forever.
That would be a budget issue.
ID card printer. We have one ID card printer in the valley, and it malfunctions on a fairly regular basis. If we had an outbreak and we needed to issue Salamander cards to contact tracers to go out and trace contact to find out where people are, we would need a better card printer. That's why I put that there. You know, we could talk about the UAV. There's a lot of angst about it. That's a very good. I feel like I need to creating a policy and protocol before we even talk about UAVs at this point.
It's not take all of
Personally, I'd be a whole lot more comfortable with this list without the
Okay.
UAV stuff.
I understand that.
Wanted to leave the 55,
Yes,
Forward,
Talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
Although I would like to say,
Yes.
if that's something the county actually needs, at some point, I would like to have a discussion. I saw how valuable it was at a previous
Yes, sir.
incident that we had. So,
you know, and an argument could be made, sir, because, for instance, when there's a smoke investigation, which happens very often,
right,
we roll many firefighters, and it's somebody that has opened up their outdoor wood burner system, you know.
Cleaning the fluid.
And we basically have first responders packed together in vehicles.
so can I just say this? I agree with the chairman. Let's,
Okay, I apologize.
I'd like, no, it's fine. Let's have that discussion at another point to determine whether that's necessary. And I'd like to do it before the deadline for coronavirus relief fund, because it may be a legitimate expense. I don't know at this point, but right now I'm not ready to talk about funding.
Understood. And I feel like I need to get some more ducks in a row too, because we've mentioned that it needs to be,
So let's go on into your elected officials.
so elected official department heads, laptops for each person, VPN security. Basically, this allows the ability for people who, let's say if the courthouse was closed again, or if somebody was diagnosed with COVID and had to self-quarantine, but was still able to work. Many people, 90% of people are asymptomatic, right? Even though they have it, they're asymptomatic. They're able to work. We'd be able to work from home. They'd be able to continue functioning, doing what they need to do without being actually in the building. And I talked to all the department heads that this applied to, and they are all for it at this point.
And this is not, I'm sorry, this is not including the three of us. Right?
Not because you already have them.
Yeah, I apologize.
I was gonna ask
Only
you,
five.
these would be available on checkout basis.
In probably so. There would be a training process where we made certain that all of the data from one computer access point is transferred onto an individual's computer. But these are basically for the department heads and the elected
So it
officials.
would have to mirror their desktops somehow.
In a way, yes.
Otherwise, they can't work from home.
In some
Tied
respects,
into
yes.
the desktop.
Yeah, they would be tying into the desktop.
So
They could do that. That's what the VPN is for.
use clerk's office for an example. So Kelly has somebody go down to the coronavirus.
Mhm.
They're still able to work. She would have that computer in her department all along and then just give it to that person, or does
That's
she need to come to you and say, I need one of those 5 computers? They're gonna be,
probably more closer to the
Okay.
first scenario.
so they'll be dedicated to each department.
I think that would be best.
Okay. All right.
Computers are such personal items.
Is the sheriff and then
The sheriff has his own. I transferred him from a desktop to a laptop last year.
other people that
So
he
these
thinks
are-
might need it or
I know, actually. It would be, I mean, as we saw, we dodged a bullet on that one, but maybe the ability to work from home is a good thing for some more people over there. The issue that they run into is one of licensing, because they have very specific software that they use for incident tracking and management. And when you start switching licensing, basically you multiply costs tremendously. So, but we can talk to the sheriff about that individually.
Okay, let's move on for a minute.
OEM, so what that is talking about is a type of strategic reserve. If there was an outbreak and the clinic and/or public health was not able to get PPE, they would actually have the ability to distribute PPE on an emergency basis. So they'd be able to say, I understand the MRC who is distributing vaccines is now out of gloves. Rather than waiting for a new order to come in, the OEM could give them gloves and be able to move forward.
And I assume the calendar gloves is $40, so it's like $25 a box.
Yes, sir. Yes.
How many is that a box? Like
Those
20?
types of gloves, I believe, are 100 count. My high-rise gloves there's only 25 in each box.
Yeah.
So it's a little
Yeah,
bit.
you're
different.
the-
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Chairman, I move that we approve $35,350.
Is that the difference?
Just finish. Of the request, which is approval of all the items except public health, P and Z, OEM, county, the drone information of 55.5, which we'll address at a later date.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to approve expenditure of $35,350 for IT representing other departments. It's not just for IT. We
No, sir.
understand that. To purchase, discussion. So
Can you tell me what that's to purchase? Because I don't have that.
sorry.
I don't have that.
Yeah, and I would guess probably we would categorize this as COVID-related equipment and supplies.
Okay,
Is that fair enough?
absolutely.
That's appropriate.
As you
so.
said, had it not been for COVID, you wouldn't be sitting here making
No,
this
sir.
request,
No, sir.
which I think is, pretty significant.
Nor would I be sitting here if I hadn't talked with DOLA and other entities who's doing this work.
You've done a lot of background. I
Yes,
know
sir.
you've talked to Fremont County and
Mm-hmm.
I really commend you on the follow-up and the backup, not just coming with numbers, but doing some investigation. I appreciate
Thank you. I
that.
appreciate that.
So the one thing we haven't talked about,
General funds.
exactly where this comes from.
Right.
We have been expending these requests out of capital improvement,
That's good.
but we'll have to have that discussion with Ms. Donna, I'm assuming. Go ahead.
Thanks, sir. I feel we should treat this as we would as if anybody else came to us. And as if the Coronavirus Relief Committee did approve it, which of course they may not. But if they did, we would fund it out of the, like, the fund that we've been funding them all out of.
Yeah,
Capital improvement. Thank you. I would say let's fund this out of capital improvements. If Corona Relief Fund turns it down, then we probably need to go ahead and do a bookkeeping entry to put it into capital expenditure.
Right.
fund. Yeah. General fund.
also we know we've been reimbursed whatever the amount was. So we got the money there. It's just if we didn't get it, there's gonna be that much less that we'll have to worry about.
The other item of discussion here is obviously we have to incur these expenses before we can ever submit those to the committee for reimbursement. So I think if this motion passes, then it will be incumbent upon you or whomever, to get these supplies purchased and paid for in a timely manner so that we can present them to the committee.
And I will work towards that. Either my expense card or a net 30 deal where we can pay
As long
for
as
it.
it's purchased, doesn't have to be.
Okay.
But you're prepared, you know where you're going. You
Yes,
got
sir.
the things, you can put that together in a couple days or like.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'll get these as fast as we can.
You know, the process, the vendor number,
Mhm.
invoice number, vendor name, all the stuff that we're going to be required to
Yes, sir.
submit to the committee
Okay.
to get this reimbursed. So further discussion?
Just one item, sir. I hate to beat this to death, but my mind is still telling me we ought to have two of the temperature scanners, front door and back door, and we don't have it in this. Would you, I'm tempted to ask to amend my motion to include one more,
IR tablet.
whatever it's called, yeah.
As a member of the motion, you certainly have the right to do that.
Before you do that, let me ask a question. We're still discussing.
Sure.
How much effort did you put into understanding how many you wanted? Why did you ask for 4? And did you have some
basically for each
discussion with
building.
people? So
Basically for each building.
you didn't work out a flow concept thing?
My thought process was for employees. But the discussion now has expanded out to include the public as well. So,
As it should, in my opinion.
yeah, absolutely.
So my reasoning is it catches it during the day. And you can have everybody walk by it at some point. That's not going to, make the risk any higher or less if you didn't find it first thing in the morning. Seems like once the employees are all in, they're taken care of, and then the public can be directed in the building in one area. So I think we can get by with 4 safely, in my view. But the 5th one is just extra cushion, extra margin. And how much is it?
Well, yeah, I would bring it up to $37,800.
In a couple $1,000.
I understand what you're saying.
I get it.
But we have a lot of people come in one door and we have a lot of people coming in the other door. And I don't think it'd be fair for, say, public, you have to go around back.
Right.
Or employees, you have to come around
I
front.
agree.
So if I may, I would like to amend my motion to increase the expenditure to $37,850, which will include one more IR tablet. Thank you.
I'll second the amendment. We move and seconded to amend the main motion by adding purchasing one additional IR tablet for $2,500, bringing the total amount
37.
of the purchase to $37,850, although that's not what we're voting on. We're voting on adding the IR tablet for $2,500. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote on, yes.
You're
you had
voting
asked.
on the amendment.
On the amendment, yes. All in favor of the amendment, which states adding one additional IR tablet for $2,500, say aye. Commissioner Cannon?
Aye.
Yeah, Commissioner Cannon. Commissioner Flower votes aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Opposed? Amendment passes. We'll now proceed to vote on the main motion,
Now I want to ask a
which
question.
states that we will approve $37,850 unbudgeted expense to come out of capital expense. Discussion.
So I have a quick one. How portable are the IR tablets? Why are they permanent?
They can be moved, they can be moved to an extent. They have a stand that they mount on. So they're not super portable, but they could be moved for an event or something like that.
So are they tied to a computer somewhere else? Why are they?
No, they
why
are a self-contained system.
Right. Well, why are they so hard to move?
They have a stand that they either mount onto the wall or
So you could take it to Lang Hall, or you could take it to the rodeo ground.
in theory, they're not made to be moved. They're not made to be transported around. They're made for locations. That's why I was looking at the other one for an actual moving.
I get that,
ability
and
to
that's a
move
good
around.
thing. I just, it's
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm having a little heartburn about these tablets
Okay.
because
Wow, that was a good little double entendre there.
Tablets, heartburn.
because who's gonna man them? If you're gonna require all the customers coming in to do it,
stand in
who's
front,
gonna
who's gonna
man them?
make them do it?
And who's gonna, if one of my employees comes in today and they have a fever that is undetectable except for this thing, for some people get fevers for odd reasons, and I lose them for 14 days because all of a sudden they've got a fever and, oh my God, they might have corona. So I'm struggling a little bit with this.
Good point.
Me too.
I was thinking the same thing while we were discussing this. I was thinking it's kind of like the honor system. Put a sign up that if you come back with a fever of 99 or higher, whatever it is, we ask you to go back outside and as an employee, contact your supervisor and talk about it, because I agree with you. There are many life cycles that go on that to raise people's temperature. And they can make the determination, the employee and but I think the public ought to say if you have a sign, and it's an honor system like the mask, wear masks and everything else. It's not enforced. We're not going to shoot anybody. You know, if you have a fever, please conduct your business at another time. And that's kind of how I feel. I mean, we don't have anybody enforcing anything, but at least this way people will know that that they are potentially they know they have a fever. That's all they know.
Mhm.
And our suggestion is at this point, please don't enter the building if you have a fever. Stop there.
So I think most people by now know that anyway. And so if you do it on an honor system and 1 in 10 people use it, maybe, isn't that kind of a waste of money just my opinion. That's just
It's
my.
a very fair opinion. Thanks.
Yeah, so you bring up a great point. Do we need to look at manning them, at least in this building? I would think the other entities probably can man their own. This would be the one big question mark.
What does manning mean? Somebody standing there?
From what I understand, we can send out, there can be warnings sent out that for too high temperature, whatnot. It all gets stored in all the data gets stored in a database. I don't.
I was going to say, here's what the clinic does, and I'm certainly not recommending that because it won't work here, but the clinic, they have the vestibule where you walk in, and then there's a second door. The scanners in that little space, they will not open that second door until you've been scanned and you don't have a fever. Now, I'm not recommending that here because I think that's a little dramatic for the county building. Makes more sense for the clinic because you're going there presumably
For other people
in the first place.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I mean, the point is extremely well taken unless we put, an armed guard standing there, being facetious, of course. Unless we put somebody there to monitor it, it has to be on a voluntary basis.
Well, and the other thing too, Kelly, you're not now automatically quarantined for 14 days, but it would require a test. So where are they going to get the test? What's the procedure? We're going to scare a lot of people thinking they're sick, and they're not. Potentially, so and the tests aren't readily available. I mean, you go there and you get, remember it's by appointment and then X a day or a week at the clinic, and then you got to wait 3 days. So you are going to lose somebody for a while. It bothers me too.
I think proactively signage to say, for your health and the health of everybody in the county, please scan. And if your temperature is over this, as Jay indicated, conduct your business when you're healthy. It's a mediation step. It's not going to be the answer.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. There's so many variables that would throw this out. But if we have something, at least we're showing people, we're not going to be working for 3 days with sniffles and runny nose and a fever.
Right.
We've got documentation that yes, we know that someone needs to be tested, somebody needs to move forward, that type of thing.
I don't have a problem with making it mandatory as a condition of employment. If you're an employee here, you will be scanned every day and you'll monitor that yourself.
There's many organizations that are doing that. I
Right.
understand
that the CenturyLink employees have an app on their phone now where they scan themselves, and if their temperature is too high, they can't start their vehicle.
Yeah.
So,
So great example. Sheriff's office wouldn't be where they're at today if this was in place 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely correct.
So
Hopefully, because the person may have said, oh, I got a fever, I've gone to work anyway. We just don't know.
well, true, if everybody follows the protocols, every employee gets scanned. If your temperature is above this threshold, you don't come to work,
I agree.
then they wouldn't be where they're at,
I agree with
in
that.
my opinion.
I agree with that.
So,
Further discussion?
so there's two things to think about then. We could do it for the employees and not the public. And part of the reason we might be there, a lot of the public hasn't got the ability to, when they go home, they don't even have a computer, a TV, or a telephone. And so what do they do? How are they gonna, and so,
I understand.
we gotta look at unintended consequences, because then you're gonna scare people away from doing the right thing. Possibly, I don't know.
Well, since it's all voluntary, if someone walks past the machine, doesn't do it, no one's gonna stop them. I mean, really and truly, this is like masks, you
Right.
think it's in your best interest to wear a mask. There's nobody out there putting handcuffs on you for not wearing it.
Right, so we could have a
I think
policy
it's
where
in
the
your best
employees are.
interest to scan the temperature for your safety and safety of everyone around you, please do it. However, if
Right.
Someone chooses not to, that's their choice. I mean, I know that this is going to be the headlines of the Sentinel going, we're taking away your personal freedoms because you can't come in the courthouse because you have a fever. Nonsense. This is a safety issue.
Okay. You believe these are necessary expenditures due to COVID?
I wouldn't be here without that.
And none of these expenditures were budgeted.
No, sir.
Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving $37,850 of unbudgeted expenses presented by Mr. Vernon on behalf of numerous departments, say aye. Commissioner Kanda?
I'm going to qualify this because we still have an opportunity to discuss how we're going to do it. I'm a little leery of the tablet still, but we don't have to request them either. So they were approving the budget items. So I'll say aye.
Commissioner Flower votes aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So everything on this sheet,
Do we want public input on that?
yes, probably better. Thank you. I'm sorry. So we will back up. Public comment concerning the purchase of COVID-related expenses.
Anybody unloading over there? I can't
Hearing none,
so I don't
the
know.
motion will stand as voted on. Everything on this paper with the exception of the UAV section plus one additional our tablet, bringing that total to 5. Motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
37,850, right?
If and when you get any of this expenditures
Yes, sir.
taken care of, shoot that stuff to me and I'll move it on to the.
Absolutely. Will do.
Thank you.
Nice job. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next item of business, consideration of resolution 20-11, please, sir, if you don't mind, to open up County Road 386. We have the documentation for that. I assume, gentlemen, you've looked at it. Good morning.
I did.
I said 10:15, I lied.
You're good.
10:17, I kept trying to close that deal
Did
down.
just right.
How are you, sir?
Mighty fine.
Good. Give me just a second and I'll pull up your
How are the mules?
info.
Good. Getting fat. and lazy.
Yeah, they are. You need to
Get
get
on the mountain. I shouldn't be getting on the mountain this time of year.
So resolution 20-11. Council pinned this, is that correct? My understanding that Clint Smith wrote this resolution for
Yes.
us based on
Yeah, based on the
information
previous
you have
one.
provided.
Yeah.
So why don't we go through the process and then we will, Chair would entertain a motion afterwards.
I move that we approve resolution 20-11 titled "A Resolution by the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County reopening the remainder of Custer County Road 386, previously closed in its entirety by resolution number 17-09.
I'll second it.
And then seconded to adopt resolution 20-11 as just read. Discussion. Go ahead, sir.
So yeah, the whole road was closed after the Junkins fire because it,
Rode it away.
yeah. We've waited a few years. We've looked at it a number of times and it's not going to be stable there in the middle on the Forest Service section for motor vehicles. So, but it has stabilized that we could get the public in there non-motorized. So Custer County would open the pieces that are under their jurisdiction. We'll build trailheads on the forest that'll at least allow the public to get back in there.
Is non-motorized and mean all motors, or are you allowed trail bikes in there?
You couldn't get one through there right
I
now.
didn't think
So
with
it's
rocks
all,
and everything.
it's all non-motorized,
Just
which
so
would include no trail bikes.
I apologize.
No, you're all right.
So on this map, we're really discussing this yellow piece.
No,
No.
you're discussing, that's on the forest, that piece. This road's split
Okay,
into
so we're
what's
talking
on the
about
private.
the green.
Yeah,
Got it.
and even parts of that green are on the forest.
Got
So we've opened up as far as we can safely and
Got it.
just the way the terrain is.
And just for my comfort, you feel comfortable doing this?
Yes.
So you wouldn't brought it to it?
Right. I took an engineer and a
I'm good.
hydrologist and my district ranger through there 2 weeks ago.
Wonderful.
So that's where those black marks are, is kind of where the trailheads are. That's the safest place we can say, here's where we're gonna have to stop traffic. And then,
They got to turn around.
yeah, I got the top one done. And I've got a piece of machinery coming next week to work on the bottom. So this whole road system's under what's called a Schedule A agreement between the Forest Service and the Custer County. It's an agreement we go over every 5 years where those mileages are added to, I believe, the federal gas tax mileage. So the county gets mileage for those roads we agree on. We include both forest and parts of roads that aren't under Forest Service jurisdiction, just because that's the main use. This whole road had been under that Schedule A, and we'll probably leave it, even though there's obviously a big piece that isn't going to be motorized till we redo that Schedule A agreement. So we're going to put a piece of equipment and do all the initial work. I'm shooting for next week. And then I'll get with Kevin and Gary and see how we want to do that. They did maintain that little piece on the west end when they went through and did all the way to San Isabel and that kind of stuff. They did run in there and do that. So
For clarification, this is south.
yeah,
This is
down the south, yes. Yeah, so
Okay, further discussion? And literally, there'll be a parking lot at those trailheads. They will not drive any further than that. They ride a bicycle, horse, or foot traffic. That's it.
the west one is currently there. The east one will hopefully be there.
They're gonna get the guy
next
down
week.
there.
Yeah, it's just a matter if I can get that dozer or not. I mean, the way I'm gonna have a quick fire discussion with you after we do this, but you know,
So our resolution's dated today. You good with that?
yes.
I suppose we probably should read this resolution into the record, huh?
What?
You think, Kelly?
I'm thinking that Clint usually does.
Yeah, so.
Seems like.
Mr. Prince, you're the maker of the motion. Would you care to read the entire resolution?
I will. I read the title to it just a moment ago. So I'll start with whereas resolution 17-09 adopted by the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County on the 10th day of May, 2017, closed the entire length of County Road 386 due to the risk of flooding and landslides following the Junkins fire. And whereas on April 2nd, 2019, a portion of County Road 386 was reopened by resolution 19-04 at the request of the representative of the U.S. Forest Service. And whereas the same representative of the U.S. Forest Service has now requested that the remainder of County Road 386 be reopened. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County is satisfied that no undue danger or risk to the public will result if this request is granted. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County that County Road 386 should be and is hereby now reopened to motorized traffic, including off-highway vehicles and to all pedestrian and horseback traffic for its entire length between County Road 387 and County State Highway 165. It goes on to say adopted the second day of October 2020 with signature lines for Commissioner Flower, Chair, Commissioner Kanda, Vice Chair, Commissioner Prince, Commissioner, and attested to by Kelly Camper, Clerk and Recorder.
So, fly in the ointment here, right?
Not terribly.
No,
But-
but man, if somebody tried to drive a nail in this, and I've read this a couple of times, that 386 is hereby now reopened to motorized traffic for its entire length. That's not really true.
But not if you do just say that.
That's right.
The county jurisdiction.
What we should have said, for the entire length of the county's jurisdiction of County Road 386. I don't have a problem redoing this real quick, putting that in there, because it's not accurate. the
It
way
would
it's
make
written.
it plainer, definitely, if you said it that
Because if
way.
somebody wanted to file a lawsuit for discrimination because we wouldn't let them go through the entire length between 387 and Highway 165.
Yeah.
You have hard copy of this. Gentlemen, would you consider then adding the wording, and we can do an amendment for it, after the statement, and to all pedestrian and horseback traffic for the entire length of the county jurisdiction of County Road 387?
That is absolutely appropriate and correct, and I support that change.
I would move to amend then this resolution to add that language to strike. Are you on that copy, Kara, right now? To strike for its and insert, strike the word its and insert the county's portion of, and then strike entire length,
A second motion.
so that it would read, well, I'm waiting.
Yeah, no, read it so then I'll make sure. I've got it.
So after horseback traffic,
Uh-huh,
for the county's portion of its jurisdiction between County Road 387 and State Highway 165.
okay. So after horseback traffic for the county's portion of its jurisdiction between County Road 387 and Colorado State Highway.
Perfect. I'll second.
Then we seconded to amend the proposed resolution to include the language we just indicated. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Commissioner Kanda?
Aye.
Mr. Flower, aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, or the amendment carries, I'm sorry. And further discussion now on the main motion, which is to adopt resolution 20-11 as amended. Kara, could you read in that last, now therefore be it resolved in its entirety?
Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County that County Road 386 should be and is hereby now reopened to motorized traffic, including all highway vehicles and to all pedestrians and horseback traffic for the county's portion of its jurisdiction between County Road 387 and Colorado State Highway 165.
Okay. Further discussion?
Just a quick question. So you got a big sign at those trailheads.
I will
And it
have,
shows clearly that it's the state forest on that side. So, because people will say it doesn't matter what a resolution says, they're gonna say it's open, so they're gonna drive in there. So
right, so I
they know where to stop and.
yeah, at the federal boundary there, I've got a Forest Service sign that says entering, leaving. You know, I visit, that east piece is through the Billington Ranch, Donley's, and I visited with him. I'll work with him to make sure. And then we've got further down some signs too that still say warning flood area, that kind of
Right, because
stuff.
it's,
And I'm assuming there'd be a physical barrier.
There, it will.
They're not
There's a-
going to be able to
no,
try to
It's a
drive.
physical barrier. There'll be rocks. that-
right.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe it'll get stabilized and
Yeah.
somebody will get a
Yeah.
harebrained idea to build a road in there.
Yeah.
Further discussion?
I have just I have not gotten one comment to open that road after the, we did the phone kind of things.
Just the way mine looks, it says, done this to.
Oh, yeah, it is kind of weird there, huh?
Could you just?
I wanted to know if that was.
Two and then first, it should be 21st.
Okay.
21,
Oh,
and that's two, but
Yeah,
that's
that's
just
great.
semantics,
Yes.
that's not.
That's not a show, it's not.
Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of adopting resolution 20-11 as presented and read this morning, say aye. Mr. Kenda?
Aye.
Mr. Flower, aye. Mr. Brent?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That resolution has been approved. Do you need a hard copy of that?
Yeah, no, I don't. They can email me.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can email me one, that'd be great.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll leave you a quick
Awesome.
email.
Thank you very much.
So if you'll correct that 21st day of October and
I sure
insert
will.
that amendment language, then we'll sign it
Do
today.
y'all need it before the meeting's
Yes,
over?
we'll sign it today.
Okay, but before the meetings, the only reason I ask is I can't get on my computer or I shut down the Zoom.
We can wait.
We'll wait till it's over, we'll.
I'd like to sign them today.
Yes, I can have it today. I just,
All right.
not.
That's fine. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Can I
Fire.
just if I got 5 minutes, our burning into season, our emergency or our energy release components are as high as they've ever been on record. Dry as it's been in October, just so you know, we're in pretty major red flag warnings today. We'll see if this moisture does anything. Monday, sounds like so.
Sounds like it's gonna be up to 8 inches.
Yeah.
And rain before that, so
Oh,
maybe we'll
good.
get lucky.
Glad that. So usually we stage a lot of fire resources between here and Canyon City and Walsenburg. Well, with everything going on, they're up north. So we do have a lot of resources pretty close, within the state. So that's in our Rocky Mountain Area Coordination Center for us is in Denver. And so, initial starts are pretty high priority. They give us all the air resources we're asking for usually. So like when the scout camp fire, that Wills Creek fire started, we were high on the list to get things.
Yeah. Well, and then they projected more moisture up north, so maybe those resources will be able to
Yeah,
come
they'll
down if we don't get as much.
Yeah, and they're scrambling. They're not getting maybe 60% of the resource orders they're filled right now. So they don't have even what they're getting. So, but that's kind of the deal. And maybe this spring we'll try to set up a field trip or a day. Destiny wants to really come in and spend a good hour with you and just give you general. Yeah.
I've done that a long time. I
Yeah.
Been a while.
go on field trips with you and very educational.
Yeah. So, and it show you kind of some of the fuels reduction stuff. We've done a lot of work that people don't see, and we're not very good at tooting our own horn. And our timber sales are still going on. We completed one up on the Greenhorn. We're laying out more. The bug problem's not getting better. And with this drought, those trees will
Building more
stress.
firewood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked up the weather, just a quick scan. It looks like Sunday and Monday, they're showing possibility of
Yeah.
snow, but that's
Right.
all I'm aware of. So, yeah, and that, it'd have to be a significant snowfall to impact the ERC at this time.
Oh, yeah, no, it'd have to be
We've gone
major.
by that
Yeah.
long time
Yeah,
ago.
our fuel moisture.
And you're in stage 2 fire ban, right?
Yeah, our campgrounds are all closed currently, except for a couple in Orfano County, but so it doesn't really change a whole lot. The outfitters are the ones that's actually affecting because they can't have stoves in their wall tents.
Mhm.
So I'm working with them trying to find those propane campfire rings, which getting called out all weekend, this weekend in the evenings. On Sunday, every fire report I checked was a propane turn-off campfire. So
Yeah,
people are getting the word out and those things I was impressed with them. So,
Yeah, I feel for those outfitters packing that propane.
Yeah.
Packing axe a lot easier than you can pack propane.
yeah, but they're working with us good. So,
And the county's moved to stage 2 fire.
okay. All right, it's still, I guess the biggest thing is a lot of folks get worried about cutting firewood this time of year. So we still do allow chainsaws. We ask they take a fire extinguisher and a shovel. So that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's kind of the main thing I see with when we go into that stage two is we kind of bump those precautions up. And this time of year, especially, we're selling a lot of firewood permits, so.
Okay, sir. Very
right.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in.
I'll leave some extra maps here just of the whole area. And we'll get that done. I'll leave you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
I assume you're gonna take one of those maps and mark E for elk, D for deer, and T for turkey, right?
Those are all up Secret Creek.
Okay, Secret Creek. I'll go over there and look at it
And the biggest fish are above the bridge.
above the bridge. Love it.
The first bridge or the second?
You've rehearsed, haven't you, you rascal? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Next item of business.
Okay, and it's out, is it out?
Longer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lauren's got a email 11.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, by consent, we would like to
Take a break.
move up to DHS
Thank you so much.
presentation from, thanks, Blake,
Thank you again.
from Miss Laura. Come ahead, ma'am.
You're back. You're back early. Holy smokes, what'd you do?
We don't know, nothing, I don't know. I heard it probably 2 months ago and they don't see anything, but it's not getting any better, so.
Healing up.
No, it's not healing up, it's getting worse. Anyhow. I received these from the,
Timing's everything.
yes, he got it to me today. And he's got in here options 1 and 2. And I barely had a chance to look at it, but,
Are they page number, do you know, or?
no.
Option one's about the third, fourth page. in.
Yeah, option 1 is the 3rd page in. And it's talking about, as you can see, how much it would be poured in with the place rubber concrete curbing, is which he is recommending.
Okay,
And then you can see that he's got it all broke out. And see,
so,
and then if you get
hold
to,
on just a second. On the 27,683
Yes.
dock, is that option 1?
yes,
I'm a little confused. Just tell me where are we?
you just need to go.
Let's keep going.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, option 1, okay?
Okay,
And then that's what,
One more page.
yeah, and then go one more page.
thank you.
There you go.
I'm looking, thank you.
No problem. I had, yeah, like I said, I got it and then I didn't have a real good chance to look at it, but. So this is, all of that, shipping and handling.
So that play bound is that rubberized surface.
Yes, and if you look on the back, I think, I'm not sure. It talks about all different kinds of things in here. He sent everything. He was very good.
Did you expect these prices?
I didn't expect these prices until after he came and was talking to me about it. And then I was like, okay. And then he's got the pictures of it. And this is the diagram of how it would be.
Right.
And then the option 2 is in here somewhere.
A little more halfway through.
Yeah, just get past the design, the diagram of the playground. And option 2 is there. And that's with the wood chips. And so that is the cheaper of the 2 because of the wood chips.
Yeah, so
Let's see.
WF, I'm assuming is their language for wood chips.
I'm assuming that too.
So could we get option 1 playground equipment and then do option 2 site? I'm assuming that's what.
No, option one is the same playground equipment. The difference is one has the poured in rubber
Right.
and the other one has the wood chips. We're looking at the.
Cost difference is wood chips.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
So here's why I asked. Yeah. So that's a picture of the playground equipment,
No,
but we're not really considering that.
this is the playground.
So option one is
That's
the
what we're
equipment.
getting.
Okay.
Option one is this with the rubber, concrete curbing and base. Option two is the same playground equipment with the wood chips.
Without the base.
Right,
So the
And
cost was
really
an
the
extra
price
$1,000.
difference there becomes
yes,
20 grand. Is that what you just said, Commissioner Candace?
Yeah. it's-
yes, because of that. It is, and I was hoping, this is, I don't know what this stuff is, wood carpet. I'm not sure what this is, on the back. But the rubber thing that he showed me is probably about this thick. And it's all like a carpet. It's not the loose stuff that they have at the school, Tom.
Yeah.
It is a-
Understood.
Yeah, it's like, like a carpet.
And this stuff is poured.
And they dig down and put it into the ground. So it's just at the top.
So it won't spread out when kids play on it.
Right,
And it's still soft enough if the child
Yes.
falls, that
Right.
hopefully don't get hurt.
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
For 5 football.
Yeah, and the curbing, and they have to put a concrete curbing around it to keep it in there.
$7,000 worth of mattress.
And so. fair to
So,
say-
just about, yes.
Fair to say that that picture of that playground equipment, that's what you're considering.
That's what yes, because we were limited on the space that we have. So that is what we are going to get. And it's good on the ages of the kids and, that's, and we're gonna get it in the color, in case you want to know, it's gonna be green and brown. We're trying to stay as neutral. We didn't get any bright orange or crazy stuff like that.
The $7,000 mattress has been.
Yes,
Right.
It is, yeah.
I like that idea better than the pieces that could go flying around.
Wood chips are just gonna blow all over the place. And that was, and he recommends the mattress, let's just call it that, because it's lasts longer, because wood chips are gonna blow away and then you're gonna have to replace them all the time. So this is durable, it's going to last.
What do you say? How long does it last?
I don't know if he really said, but he may have, he didn't, I don't know if he sent that.
So
But it's about-
12,600 of it is this play bound, 2 inches thick.
What's the total cost that we're looking at?
If you look at option one, it's 46,851.47.
And that's what the pad.
And that's what the pad,
Installation.
the installation and everything. Now, the other thing I don't have is the cost of the fence, because he tried to get hold of somebody and they didn't get back to him. I'm not sure if we're looking at now, what he sent me a minute ago was something that he sent to a company to put in, fencing. And he just had it at 630 feet, which was up to, from this, east side up to the tree. And I thought we were gonna take it beyond the tree, the fence, but I don't,
Yeah, my understanding was the length of the courtroom, 40 feet.
yes, that's my thought.
To the cedar rail fence.
Yeah,
I don't believe I can support the whole idea, according to the diagram, of going into the parking lot with this playground. If we can't get it in that.
oh, no, we're not, no. I don't know why that's like that, because, no, we're not going into the parking lot. No. I'm not sure why he's got that there either, because we had the conversation that it would go up to the wooden fence.
Right.
It wouldn't go any farther than that.
Is there any potential that some of this funding for this project could come from DHS, from grants or anything other than the county?
No,
Okay.
no, yeah, no, I don't know of any that would be available for that.
You don't have anything in your budget?
I don't have anything in my budget for that.
I don't want to take it away from food and whatever.
Yeah,
No grant or anything?
no, and the reason I'm asking about it is because with the COVID thing, and we had to do those visitations with the parents, and trying to do those someplace else and keep the kids away from them and stuff was very hard. And because of that, if we have this here, when we have visitation, we can just have them here, no other kids around, no other people around, and that's why we're asking for it.
Well,
So you want the option one?
Yeah.
46,000.
And to be clear now, we're on the agenda today for approval of putting a playground on the south side of the courtroom. We really weren't scheduled
I just,
to vote on this.
yeah,
Right.
it's just
This
this.
one, she's seeking approval from the commissioners to pursue putting a playground in there, and we have to give some ballpark figure.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm all for a playground, but there's gotta be cheaper ones.
Well, we could, I mean, this one we got from this guy who worked with Silver Cliff. And when they put in some playground equipment up there. So,
I'll go look at it.
So if we looked at just the playground equipment on option one,
27.
12,000,
Well,
mhm.
$11,992 plus shipping.
I've seen homes with the same size stuff. They can't convince me they spent $11,000 for their home playground.
No, well, no, they're not gonna spend that for their home playground. Now, I don't know for him. I mean, they're required to put in safety things and that type of stuff. So,
Right.
you know, if, I mean, that's what they do. And if they're gonna install it, they're, you know, they have to do their specifications. It had to be, one reason we were limited on space is it has to be so far from the tree. So if nothing happens to the kids going into the tree that's out there. So that was part of it.
They did a pretty good job of the city park playground for Westcliff. I wonder who did that.
Yeah, I don't know. We could find out. We were on a short time
It
frame
wasn't a
here,
big one.
you know? Yeah, so we were just trying to get some, and this guy, we got lucky. He was coming to Canyon, so he just swung by and came over on Thursday and just got this sent to me this morning. So like I said, we were on a short time frame here.
I would move that we authorize DHS to install a playground south of the courtroom wall, exterior wall, which really is 20 by 40. We measured it, and that's what the dimensions come up with.
I'll second it.
We moved and seconded to authorize DHS to install playground south of the courthouse. Just further discussion? I'd like to deal with this and then let's come back and look at this just for a minute, if that's all right, because that's just a motion is to grant authorization, correct?
To use that ground for a playground.
Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kenda?
Aye.
Commissioner Flower, aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Motion carries. Opposed? Motion carries. So yes, I struggle with this a little bit, but you've done exactly what we asked you to do. I think,
I mean, we can try to get other, you know,
all right,
Yeah, we need to look at a lot of options. There's got to
Okay.
be good options.
I think
out there. Just
5 or 6 foot chain link fence with a top rail, line posts, a man gate, a walk-through gate, 3 sides of that. So we're looking at 80 feet of fence,
right? And he said, he recommended 5 feet.
5 feet, okay.
That was his recommendation. That's what they usually put in.
crawling over it.
So I
Yeah, they
see
don't want
that
it too short,
being a
you know.
deal breaker. And then we might as well talk about. You have to.
Go ahead.
I would like to, but, so then the question is do we, whatever we expend on this, it's unbudgeted. Laura doesn't have the money in her budget, it's gonna have to come out of county budget. Then do we submit that for CBRF funding, and can we make a case that that is a necessary expenditure due to COVID? You believe it is?
Yeah, because we were mandated, even though with all this going on, when we have children who have been, you know, in foster placement, we have to have visitation with the parents. It is a requirement. And so we were trying to do it outside. The only place we could go was to the park. And there was other kids there, trying to keep our kids away from those.
No, this is.
It was hard.
And
It was hard.
obviously, to meet certain protocols, you probably would have really had to go over there and sanitize all that playground equipment
Oh, yeah.
before you ever took your
Yeah.
visitation kids over there, which
Yeah.
not realistic.
happening.
So
No,
I agree with your assessment that it's COVID driven, but we as commissioners have to believe that in order to go to the committee and submit this for reimbursement. That's conversation that remains to be had. I would struggle going at roughly 50 grand. I think we can do this either in-house, voluntarily,
Mhm.
get some volunteer help for that fencing, contract fencing, buy the equipment, volunteer to put it in, whatever. I would guess we could knock this out for less than 20 grand.
okay. Because you're,
That's just a guess.
because you're just looking at the piece of playground equipment and that's okay.
I think with the 12 grand, that's.
Yeah, and so we're just talking about everything else that goes with it.
I want to see it. I want to see some options because 12 grand even for that. I don't, how big was that? It's not that much stuff. I can't believe it.
It's,
Nothing
well,
compared to what I've seen.
yeah, playground equipment
I can't believe it.
is expensive. And then part of our thing was trying to find something that's going to fit in that space.
And we're not talking slide and swing out of metal here, right?
Well,
It's all plastic.
So,
I'm not sure if it's plastic,
Looks
it's a more
plastic.
durable, whatever.
but
that is.
if you could continue to do a little research, I'd be glad to help
Okay.
you along the way and see about some playground equipment. I'm not saying we have to go with this particular
No,
piece of
but there's
playground
gotta be-
equipment. I agree.
No.
Let's do some research. and
Okay.
see, But
Okay,
we know now that you got, and really we said along that wall, there was an old satellite dish on a 6-inch round steel pipe set, and concrete would probably take that out along with this project.
Sure.
If you don't have any big issues about that, it's just stopped in the ground out there,
Yeah,
kind of in the way.
yeah,
But I think we can talk to Gary at Road and Bridge and get some help pulling that out with the backhoe.
okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we can, I mean, I just want to make sure that whatever we get is going to be okay insurance wise and everything else, So that would be part of my,
And my concern is,
Overall cost.
I don't want to go too far. We're talking about food safety equipment. I mean, if we buy too cheap, it might have rough edges and who knows what else.
It's gotta be
I
included.
mean, I like Bill's idea. Let's get some additional options to see, is this guy way high or is that really what this thing costs?
Yeah.
And then let's make the determination once we get a few more options. I think in the very short period of time you had, you did a great job. So, but still, I think we're about to vote potentially to authorize that spot. And once we do that, then the rest of it's just history in terms of what are we going to expend on it if we do it. So
We did vote to authorize that spot.
did we vote?
Yeah,
already?
this
Yeah.
this is general discussion about that, so.
I thought-
we're just talking about now what to do about the
Right.
equipment itself.
I
And
think
how,
that's great.
okay,
Coming from.
I was, when I saw it, I thought, oh.
Yeah.
And part of it is the playground equipment. We had looked at some other ones and it's right in the ballpark. Was another one was called American or something. But then you're still talking about installation and everything else with it. So I don't know. But
Yeah, I just saw a church install playground equipment the other day with volunteers, so I
okay,
wonder if Kids Council would be interested in
I think
the
Rotary would.
project,
would also
Rotary.
help with This project.
Yeah.
okay.
According to supervisors, according to Rotary, they're too old to do anything.
They can find some money.
Yeah, maybe they could do that. Yeah.
Nice.
Quote unquote from Paul Wiki. All
Yeah.
right, very good, man. Thank
Okay.
you.
No,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking
Thanks,
the
Laura.
You're
time
welcome.
and getting me in because I have to leave here. in
Now you gotta
5 minutes.
limp out of here.
Yeah, oh, yes, and I will. Bye.
Kara, will you call the roll? So next item on the business, consideration of uncollectible tax
How about,
on county-owned property, so we'll take a little break. If there's no objection, we'll be in recess for about 3 minutes.
So, Commissioner, you can go 3-minute recess. All right, thank you.
Sorry, through that recess in there after the fact.
No, you're good.
Matt, how are you?
Good morning. Very good. Thank you.
Good.
Fund me or paid Matt.
We will reconvene the OCC meeting, 10:56 a.m. Next item on the agenda is consideration of removing some collectible tax properties.
Liens.
A lien?
Yeah, they have, all of them have liens on
Okay,
them, and all but one is mineral rights, so it's not actually property. The last one is property underneath the San Isabel Lake.
So what does that mean, Virginia, remove the lien?
Well, I want to take them off the tax roll because you can't do anything with them, they're useless.
Right.
So, it tells you right there in that, statute I gave you to cancel the lien. But it doesn't affect if you ever wanted to go back and take title to it. The only thing I will warn you, if you ever try to take title from mineral rights, to do an OAE, that's going to cost you because the title companies won't do it. So you'd have to go get a person that does it, it's at least $1,000 to have them do that.
Virginia, what's that statute?
I have it.
I'll give you a copy of it.
Okay, it's 39,
Good.
Thank you.
I'll just give you a copy of it.
She's got several cited here.
So, Miss Virginia, do you need, if we move to do this, do we do this in mass or do we need to do it by each property?
I would just do it by the snap, and then Kelly would have the copy.
Well, I'll move that pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 39-10-114, abatement and cancellation of taxes, that we remove from the tax rolls the schedule of, I want to say the word properties, is that correct?
Active lien sale.
Okay, properties with active liens as presented by the county treasurer.
For a second,
I'll second.
been moved and seconded to authorize removing the taxable liens for the properties from the tax rolls, basically, correct? Without
Correct.
pursuant to the statute aforementioned. Discussion.
So just a quick one. So names that are on here are then what? They're notified or
No.
do they exist or?
They know they exist. We send it to them every year.
Yeah.
I have a letter on that one that has 3 of them. They sent me a letter saying they do not want them.
Okay, so we're just gonna let them go. So nobody cares.
Yeah, and the other ones would have already taken care of it if they wanted it. I mean, it's been over 6 years.
Yeah. And they know they're usually sold on this courthouse step.
Yeah, mineral rights not.
Not mineral, I thought mineral rights were,
Well, it's the same
somebody go
process.
buy it from them. though.
It's the same process. You have the auction, they can come pick it up at auction, but these we took county held because they were problems.
I see.
Okay, further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of authorizing Miss Virginia and the Treasurer's Office to remove these properties, most of which are mineral rights, actually, from the tax rolls, say aye. Commissioner Kanda?
Aye.
Mr. Flower? Aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
I'll
Appreciate
get
it.
you those copies.
See you work on that.
Okay. Next item of business is transfer of funds, $10,000 from the general fund to the airport fund. Ms. Kelly has provided us that form. So I would move that we authorize a transfer of $10,000 from county general fund to the airport fund.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to authorize this transfer of $10,000. Discussion.
Why? What is
This came out of our budget hearing with them when it came to light that without this transfer, which we had committed to do in January of 2020, that they were going to overspend their budget.
Right.
We told them we'd transfer money when they needed it. We haven't done that
I
yet.
remember this.
It's been accounted for. It just needs to
I
be
didn't
done.
remember. I'm good.
Further discussion? Would you do that to Kelly, please? We do not sign this transfer. We just approve it and Kelly signs it. Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of authorizing $10,000 transfer from general fund to airport, say aye. Commissioner Kanda,
Aye.
Mr. Flower, aye. Commissioner Prince,
Aye.
opposed, motion carries. That transfer will be conducted, get them back in the black. Originally, we had budgeted a $20,000 amount to transfer if and when needed, so they're still under that. Go ahead, sir.
Just a separate item. We postponed the planning and zoning. Did we put that back on the budget for the 30th?
It's on the agenda for the 30th, yes.
I just wanted to make sure. Thank you. I didn't write it.
Yeah, we moved to move the planning and zoning report, and we moved the first net tower report.
Got it. Thank you.
I suspect there will be action items connected to planning and zoning report, so I wonder if we wouldn't be wise to put consideration
That's where I was going.
action pursuant to planning and zoning report. I can almost guarantee you we'll have an
After
action
that.
from that, so probably would be wise. So consideration of action pursuant to planning and zoning director report.
So we still gonna have to have the executive session?
No.
Gonna go out?
No, Jackie told me she's already gotten legal opinion of that.
What I thought.
So that's why she was, well, of course, because Clint's sick today, but also because he had already given her his legal opinion on how to deal with that. So I think that will cover us there as far as if we have to have some action item after the report. Any other additional items of business?
I have none, sir.
I'll bring this up during the Board of Health meeting tonight as well, but I've done some research on amending an agenda. Clearly, Robert's rules state that an agenda can be amended after it is posted by a 2/3 majority vote or unanimous vote. Obviously, either one of those is applied here because there's only 3 of us. And then there's another rule that says if deemed an emergency, an item can be added to the agenda without a vote. It does not clarify who deems it as an emergency. So if, as chairman of this board, I would say if somebody came to the chair and said, this is an emergency, we got to get this on the agenda, I would say, okay, if the agenda's already been posted now, right? That's what I'm talking about.
It's under the
I would
24
say
hours.
then I will confer with the other commissioners.
Right.
At least have that opportunity to have a conversation about that. Doesn't really specify, yes.
So I'm very familiar with the rule that you just mentioned, that agendas can be modified with a 2/3 majority vote. My concern is, how does that conflict with the open records law that says that you must post something 24 hours in advance? If we put something on the agenda and then act on it that same day, well, there appears to be a conflict. Do we have any ruling on that? I am unable to
I
find
think
that.
the statute would probably take precedent.
Well, let's get a legal opinion. Let's not guess.
I didn't,
So I don't know.
I couldn't find it in the
I
statute.
couldn't either. I looked. So
There's case law I did find on that was upheld. It's in that, and it's part of the, I forget what it was called. If you, I'll get it. I'll make copies and we'll, because I've got it at home.
because if we have an emergency, or even if we just amend the agenda, it's highly unlikely we'll have a 24-hour notice period. Then it negates the opportunity to amend the
Right.
agenda by adding
If
something.
it really is an emergency.
And it negates also an emergency if the statute takes precedent over that rule. So this is my legal quandary. This question has come up to me before, and I've searched it. I could not find an answer. I am unaware of a case law that
I'll show you what I
Yeah,
found.
that's fine. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, and then, again, I couldn't find it in statute, but it's a practice. And we have a little notice to the public at the bottom of our agenda. And I read that carefully. It does not address that this agenda may be amended after it is posted. Now, I see that statement on other
Right.
boards that I sat on their agendas, that it may not reflect the actual agenda at the time the meeting is called to order.
However, sir, you can't just put a statement saying, I'm going to circumvent state law.
Right.
So,
That's right.
So, it's like those trucks that put on not responsible broken windshields. That's nonsense. I mean, if you break my windshield, you're responsible regardless of what you put up there.
Right.
Same thing here. We can't put this disclaimer on the bottom saying, hey, we reserve the right to do whatever we want, even though statute says something else.
Right.
So I would really, I'm sorry Clint's not here because I'd like to get a legal
Yeah.
opinion as
I
to
would too.
how those two appear to be in conflict, how to resolve it.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, I would expect a deemed emergency would take precedence over a 24-hour notice. But
Yeah.
Again, I'm like you. That's why we hire an attorney.
Right.
So all kinds of examples why we might have to function with something that's not on the agenda. And then, of course, we also consider items during commissioner item time that aren't on the agenda.
I did it today.
We have done that. So I think some clarification about that. We'd like to operate within the parameters of the law, that's for sure. So I'm not trying to circumvent anything, that's why I brought it up. I think we need to get some clarification.
Case law is found in annotations under the statute. And I just found that but I'll copy it so you all have.
I've read the open records law, media laws many, many times, and I think I have a good handle on that.
Yeah.
I understand Robert's rules of order, but they are in conflict, and
Yeah.
that's where I don't
Why
know.
say
the
this
answer.
will take precedence.
Okay, any additional items of business, gentlemen?
I have not, sir.
All right, final opportunity for public comment. Anybody who would like to address the commissioners now would be the appropriate time. Mr. Matt, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Commissioner Kenda?
Aye.
Mr. Flower, aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. 11:11, actually 11:10.